You're listening to Parts and Charts. I'm Chelsea Owens, a therapist certified in internal family systems, and my co-host, KP Kajabowski, is an astrologer. We're testing the theory that IFS and astrology are mapping the same inner territory. Every episode, we put that to the test. Glad you're here. Okay, it's Monday.
Should I?
It's Monday. I'm struggling to get my serious pants on. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I can.
We're putting this out today because we are definitely still in summer mode and we're just flowing with time. Also, last week I moved house. Maybe you'll notice by my background that you can't see my bed anymore because I'm in a different apartment. I live in Madison, Wisconsin now, which is one of the capitals of the world.
World capital. Yeah.
World capital.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. I loved living on the Lake Michigan, like in a little town, but I'm happy to be back into a city. Anyway, so I've done my errands, I've got my work done, and I'm ready for this podcast. And Chelsea is it's like morning still on the coast, right?
No, but it feels like
hours.
That. And because it's been foggy all day, and
yeah,
I'm struggling to get my responsibilities done.
Monday.
Yeah.
It's for the birds.
Yeah.
Okay, but today I really liked the parts episode that we did, I think like 2 episodes ago, where you did kind of like a good recap on what is a part, why do we talk about parts in the way that we do in IFS and in the world. So then the next topic that I find to be like essential to like understand when you're doing parts work is blending. Like, what does it mean when a part is blended? And what does it mean to unblend? So I kind of just want to like ask you questions about everything. And then I am willing to be a demonstratee. So what do you call it? I'm willing to be a part of a demonstration where we go in and we see if a part has blended and if we can unblend them. And then we can reflect on that. And I think you also have an exercise that you want to run me through that you've learned recently that has to do with blending. So that's what this episode is. This is definitely an internal family systems like primer episode. So if you're looking for astrology, it will only be a little hum in the background, if at all. So just a heads up. Okay.
Astrology is always there, KP.
Yeah, it's always there. It's eclipse week.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going easy on the astro. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that I moved during the eclipse season because the energy has to go somewhere and it's not so bad. It's not so bad when the eclipse energy is like moving where you live. So happy about that.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Speaking of, did you feel anything on the first eclipse?
Ooh. Good question.
Because it was on your ascendant and your Mercury.
I know. How was I feeling that day? I think I was texting you. I think I felt good. I don't think I have any like notable insights, which is kind of like, okay, a part of me is disappointed because I know so much more about astrology now. And like I've been texting you, I'll get up at 6 a.m. and be like, so in 2017, August 18th, I had this conversation. I'm like it's
remarkable
going over the patterns and charts, and I'm like nerding the F out to an annoying degree. Says no one but me. And so now that I know all of this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, this happened and that happened and this. I'm making all these connections and I'm like, all right, like what's going to happen? Like, suiting up for, I don't know, something cataclysmic. And
right.
And yet I'm like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But we're still inside this portal. And I know it's like the node shifting, it's more than just one day. So like, I'm not really expecting like an explosion to happen on eclipse day. Because there's a whole year of this energy moving. But I was looking back at some of those, like the last few Leo eclipses, and there were big changes in where I was living.
Yeah.
friendships, jobs for sure, like quitting jobs, like not randomly, but like impulsively around August a few times, and then immediately
Yeah.
starting new jobs like around October. So,
Hmm.
and then moving as well, like big significant moves. So, I don't know. But it could also be, KP, that I'm just I am where I am in life right now and where I'm supposed to be. And a lot of things have healed. And
Yeah.
so maybe like that's why nothing huge is shifting because nothing really needs to move right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, okay, now we are talking about astrology. Sorry, guys, I lied.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, we've had a really good set of conversations about, there's been a few things that have happened in recent astrology land, like the teacher who blew up the internet by using a racial slur and then doing a non-apology. And he also has so much to do with how we talk about the nodes,
Oh,
in that like he's an evolutionary astrology teacher. And evolutionary astrology is when like the nodes and the eclipses are like really central to how they teach astrology. Because what I understand, and I don't really want to perpetuate these thoughts because I have some things that I'm still working through on it, obviously related to like being rooted in white supremacy. But anyway, the nodes are connected to the idea of fate, or that reincarnation, like we reincarnate into a life to like work out certain karma or things that we didn't do well in the past life. And that way of thinking is inherently blaming people who are in bad situations or
yeah.
who are in like difficult parts of the world, who have experienced genocide. Like, so it's a really dangerous way of thinking about the nodes. And it also has seeped into how everyone on across astrology talks about the nodes. So then there's other astrologers who talk about the nodes as like, that's when a king dies. That's when a nation turns over.
Yeah.
So it's more like
Right.
socio-political, and it's
Yeah.
like fate on the world stage. It's not about personal karma as much. Anyway, so there's so much in the discourse right now about fate, the nodes,
Got
all that
it.
stuff. And then you and I have had a lot of personal conversations like, yeah, like when you have really intense eclipse moments that you can see, like you did, I think, in your early 20s. Like, yeah, in
Yeah.
your early 20s, you aren't fully realized into who you are or who you want to become. So eclipses can rock you more than as you develop your soul and you get into this place of like processing dynamism or whatever the word is, so that when there is a big wave that comes, you're not completely rocked. You're just like going with it, like
Mm,
you can better do that. And that's another reason why like I know IFS and astrology work so well together, because doing like getting to know your systems, like you're more aware of what's happening within you. So then you can choose more outside of you,
mm.
right? So yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about this. So like, yeah, I think you might be like in your zone. If there isn't a major dramatic change externally, it's probably because you have calibrated your life to where it needs to be in this part of your astrological journey, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Or,
6 years from now, you're like, wait, actually, that year was really, really big,
hmm,
and I didn't know it at the time. Um,
yeah. Yeah. I think we'll know soon.
yeah, yeah. Kind of a personal thing on that is that because you sent me that screenshot of like it was so cool. You circled the dates and then you told me what happened on like each one of them. It's like, this is like such good astrology. This is such good research. So it made me look back, and I couldn't see a lot of patterns of like specific events that happened, but there is the last time 18 years ago, the last time the North Node was in Aquarius and the South Node was in Leo, because they're
Yeah.
always across from each other, was when I moved to Madison for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And this is the second time I'm living in Madison. So I only lived in Madison for 3 months
Isn't that
that first
crazy?
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the node switches to Aquarius and Leo, and I'm moving to Madison again. So like 18 years from now, am I moving back to Madison? Like, So I'm only in my 30s. I don't get to see these patterns
Yeah.
until like the third or fourth time. So
Yeah.
it'll take some
That
time.
is so wild.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was 18 and now I'm 36. So what is the math? 54 is the next time the nodes return to the same spot.
Mhm.
Is that the math? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, yeah, so what that was what did you say, 2008? I can't do math. What was
Yeah.
it?
It
Yeah,
was
2008.
when
Yeah.
Obama was voted in. I drove by the place that I voted for the first time in my life because I had
Oh my
just
God, you
turned
voted for the
18.
first time
Oh
that
no, I had
time.
just turned 19
Wow.
when I voted for Obama. By the
Oh
way,
my
my
God.
politics, I voted for Obama.
Oh my
Anyway, yeah.
Oh,
It was like such a big deal. Like I had to
that
it was like
yeah.
inside of the school, like 7 blocks away. I didn't know where I was. And anyway,
Yeah. Oh my God, that's
yeah.
so cute. That was I
Yeah.
just graduated college that year, and I was living in St. Louis for a short while. That was so
And then,
fun. That was so fun. I know. I was working in politics too, so I was very stoked
yeah.
about Obama and the momentum behind the whole campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I quit my campaign job and went west. I went
Yeah.
west.
Your big eclipse.
Five goes west. Yeah, that's me. Still here.
This is such a random thing to say, but there, I forgot what time Obama was announced as the winner.
Yeah.
Maybe, wait, this could be completely false. He was announced pretty early on. Like it didn't have to take weeks.
Mm,
Whatever
I think
happened, there were
so.
people running,
Projected.
there were like a lot of people running naked across our campus. And I was like, this is like a movie, you know?
Hmm.
And
God, call it.
I put that in a book, but I don't remember which book it's in.
Wait, high school?
Anyway,
Your high school campus?
no, my college campus,
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, okay.
where it's less, yeah, creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Okay, we'll edit that.
Does anyone know of a
Or do you
part-time
want to
job?
leave that in? Okay, KP is looking for a part-time job in medicine.
We cut out most of that conversation, but yeah, does anyone know? Does anyone know of a copywriting or a social media job that's part-time that I can do from home?
Or a
I'm looking.
barista, or a bartender.
Mm, it has to be from the computer. Anyway, we're back. We're going to talk about blending and unblending.
Wait, what
Mm,
did we finish our thoughts about eclipse? I can't remember what we just were saying.
naked people running around
Oh,
campus.
right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So you were in high school, or no, you just finished. Yeah. So we're 5 years,
Just started.
basically almost 5 years apart. That's so crazy to me.
You were born in 85.
Yeah.
Yeah? And
Yeah.
I was born in 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Phew.
But you're born in the summer and I'm born in the fall.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, yeah. But it's like that. Thinking about that time, like I'd be like, oh my God, I couldn't be friends with like a freshman, you know, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
at that time of life, like it's very like the age gap as a parent, and even
Yeah.
in like
You
the
don't
early
know.
20s, like in the 20s too, I can never be friends with a 21-year-old if I'm like 25 or 26, you know. But
Yeah.
now it's like it doesn't fucking matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But like in high
I
school,
was friends with
college, like
seniors.
those times of my life, like yeah, I mean, I definitely like could hang with like older kids for sure. But for some reason, when it comes to like the younger kids, I'd be like, I couldn't, I could never.
You can't
Or I
even buy
just
your
like
own
I'm
cigarettes.
nice to them, but I just view them as like children, you know? And yet now we're all equals. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a freshman. You're cool. You're a cool freshman. I'm a cool senior. It's fine.
I think the trick is when you're a freshman, don't talk, don't say anything. Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. Okay, let's get into blending.
Okay, I'm ready. You are the first person that I've ever experienced unblending with, by the way.
Really?
Do you remember
Tell me
that?
more. No, tell me more.
So that was one that we did not record for the podcast. It was probably the first session we've had. And I was blended with like a really young version of myself. Or I should say that young version of my young, I guess, how do you call it? Young part, right? A very young part was so blended with me that it took a really long time to like know what was
Hmm.
happening. And yeah, just saying I think about that a lot.
Oh, wow. What did that feel
And
like to notice?
well, that's the one where I was crying. And then when you helped me unblend from that part, or I don't even know what language you would use, but when I could see the part for themselves and I was away from them, I
Hmm.
wasn't crying, but I was
Yeah.
sensing, I was like, I guess empathizing with them, or I was sensing what they were so upset about. It was
Wow.
so different than feeling it as my own. And it,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you remember, but it was really, really, really young stuff, like from birth, basically having to do
Yeah.
with my sister.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And yeah, some patterns that have been there a long time. But yeah,
I think thanks for sharing that because I think that's a really good thing to point out to our dear listeners that how it feels in your body, like the thing that you just mentioned, your experience of not maybe feeling the tears or crying because you had enough space to also like know what that experience is for your part.
yeah,
So you could like feel that, you could feel that they were sad but you didn't have to emote that yourself. You
yeah,
didn't have to completely feel that and like cry in that moment. But you could still be with that feeling and understand it and know that the part was feeling that and show up for the part in that feeling and without having to 100% feel all of it yourself, like self.
yeah,
Yeah. Does that,
yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to explain that, and you really gave the example that illustrates that, like to have that kind of distance or, separation or perspective of unblending so that your part's kind of outside of you in a sense, still
yeah,
in you, right? But it's like you can see it out in front of you and you're with it in that way. And it's not just like you are the part in that moment. Yeah.
yeah. What was interesting too is that like the setting or the circumstance became more clear to me when the unblending had happened. So before it just felt kind of like a really
Yeah.
intense feeling that like I can access really easily because it's like I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's because it's such a young part of me.
Yeah.
And I think I gained a lot of insight because of that. And also, like, I don't know if my grandma was a part or my part had a grandma that was my grandma, which is also an interesting thing because at that time of my life where that part was feeling or expressing, I don't know how to describe it, my grandma would have been there. Or like she would, it's just, it made sense that her at that age, like in her 40s or whatever, how old she was, would be there with me at like 1 or 2 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have anticipated the idea or figure of my grandma showing up in what we were exploring. So that was also really
Mhm.
helpful to think about later on. I also just like really appreciate her more because like it deepened my psyche.
Hmm.
She's a comfort.
Hmm. Hmm.
That sounds very cliche, but it's true. Like my grandma's a great comfort to me.
Sweet.
Okay, so I have questions. Someone who's as someone who's experienced it, but like really doesn't know how to describe it. I think that's obvious. What do you mean? Let's start with blending first, and then we'll talk about the active unblending. Like, what does it mean when you say a part has blended, or like how would you
Mm.
phrase that and describe that?
Well, I think that we're all like pretty much blended with a part at in most of our daily lives, I think we're just like not, most of us aren't aware of it. And so I think becoming more aware of it is obviously a huge part of IFS work and just self-reflection. And there's also nothing wrong with it. So, I'm not saying this is like good or bad, but just bringing awareness to the fact that we're always pretty much blended with a part, because parts are obviously like for the most of our parts are doing something for us. They're playing a role. They have a job to do in our systems. So of course they're going to be blended because they're active. So when a part is really blended, or you're blended with a part, it's kind of like that part is what's activated, but it's also like kind of taking over. So it's possible to be really blended with a part. Maybe you don't know it, maybe you do know it, but it's kind of obvious that it's kind of taken over the system in that moment. So you could probably reflect on a moment when you've noticed that, when it's been really obvious that a part was really activated and it really kind of hijacked the system. Maybe it's a really emotional moment or a really highly charged moment. Maybe there was an event that happened and a part really needed to blend in that moment. Maybe it felt like it really needed to get your attention, and that's why it came full force into the system to really, I don't know, do something. So moments when there's typically like one part that is kind of stealing the show or running the show. That's what blending is. That's what it's like when you're really blended with a part. And if your part's aware and doing this work, you're probably going to have a little bit more awareness or a parts detector around that. But if you're newer to this, or maybe you're just learning more about self inquiry or reflection or noticing things as a part, you won't have as much of a radar around that. But yeah, because there's nothing like wrong or good or bad. It's just having more awareness of who's speaking in any, especially in like more, activated or charged states. Like who's doing the speaking in those moments? Yeah.
It's making me think of this morning. I had a really intense dream. Like, not intense, like vivid.
Was I
And
in it?
in my,
Was it
I don't know
was
if
it
you
about
were
me
in
again?
it. What, it wasn't about you this time. But my husband was the villain in
Wow.
some way. It's such a cliche and trope. So I woke up and I just had this like feeling like I was just like, if he was going to say something, I was going to react in a way that like he was the villain. We went on our morning walk, and I love our morning walks because it's like we get to chat, and Otto's cute. Otto's our dog. And I reacted to something he said in a tone like I assumed that he was saying something like rude to me or something. Like I forgot what it was. It wasn't intense. It was minor, but he noticed like, wait, why are you talking to me like that? I was like, because you were the villain in my dream last night. Do you think that's like a part being really, or me being really blended with a part, and it just kind of like kept going from dreamscape? Or is that a completely different topic?
Oh, I have no idea. We'd have to ask your parts.
Oh, okay. But after Marty was like, wait, why are you talking to me like that? I was like, I don't know. Like it dissipated.
So
But I knew why.
after he brought attention to it, then it
Yeah.
felt different.
Yeah. And I knew exactly why instantly. I was like, oh, you were the villain in my dream last night. I think he
What was
kept
he
me
doing
from
in the
running.
dream? Like, how was he the villain?
He was keeping me from like jumping down a waterfall or something.
What an asshole.
Probably. What? Yeah. Keeping me alive in my dream. Yeah. Something like that. But like
He
all of
was
my
controlling
friends.
you, or it felt controlling.
And it wasn't just him. I think Johnny Depp and Leo DiCaprio were like, wouldn't let me go to the bathroom or something. Yeah.
For real. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so something was
Anyway,
getting in the way of your agency, huh?
yeah. But it's not him, it's the this is not parts work, right? This is dream interpretation. But I guess it's all very similar in that it feels like I didn't have choice in how I wanted to be until I was aware of it. And then I was like, wait, that's not how I want to be.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Very interesting. Well, well, I mean, we could try to find out with your parts. I mean, well, but yeah, we could get curious about that. But I also think like it's a really good practice like, because you brought up your partner and you guys are a couple. So I also think it's a really good practice of, I mean, of course, we want to be able to notice our own parts for our own benefit, but I think it also can really benefit your partnerships as well. And I was just talking about this with my consult group this morning. I think we've talked about this on the pod a little bit, but the concept of the U-turn
Mm,
as a tactic to get people to look at, how they're showing up in a dynamic with another person. And, we can't control if Marty's the villain or not, but we can control how you show up and how you respond to him. And yeah, there's choice in that direction for you. And that can help a little bit. I mean, again, we can't control how other people are or how they treat us. We can only control ourselves. So the more awareness you have of your own parts and your own blending, hopefully can help how you show up with partners and in your couple or throuple. And
with
maybe
Otto.
that'll have an effect on how then they show up with you. That's the hope. I also just want to say, like, the one of the goals, like, is, of course, like, one of the broader goals is, of course, to, like, know our parts and unblend from them. If it's, I don't want to say causing a problem, but, like, causing some tension that we would maybe like to be different. But it's also like, I think it's important to also be aware of any agenda around trying to unblend or wanting something to unblend, to notice if that's coming from a self-led place or if that's coming from parts, intentions, or agendas around what they want to happen. And I know personally and I guess professionally, sometimes it just feels really fucking good to blend with a part and to let a part express itself fully and for it to be seen by someone else or by a therapist. And in those instances, if you're doing insight work, your therapist would probably utilize what we call direct access, which is where the therapist accesses the client's part that's blended directly so they have a dialogue. So the therapist creates a connection with that part in hopes of developing some unblending and more of a self to part relationship for the client. So sometimes if a part is really blended with a client and there's maybe little or not as much access to self energy, which is okay. We're always trying to help people access more self energy. But if that's what we're working with in the moment, then the therapist is utilizing their own self energy in the room if the client, isn't able to at that moment. And usually, typically, maybe not every time, but I'd say like more often than not, in that process of client or therapist lending their own self energy, their own system to that process and witnessing the part and validating the part and letting the part speak and be there and showing curiosity and understanding. It's amazing. Like, so much self energy in the client can start to emerge just through that process. And the part feels seen and heard. And slowly there's just like little openings for, yeah, for the part to kind of ease back a little bit and start to trust. And for the client's self to, yeah, just come online and kind of be allowed to be there. And for the part to kind of trust the client's self energy a little bit more. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of really amazing things happen. But all that's to say, like, it's also okay if a part's really wanting to blend or like needing to blend in any given moment. And we just work with it. That's like a
Okay.
lot of technicality and a lot of, yeah, really, a lot of really like technical IFS work there. But
I had
yeah,
a session with Linda, and I think there was a part that was blended, and we separated me from it, and it gave me space. And then there was a part that was really close to me, and it was my judging part, judging the situation part. And
yeah.
like I could sense when parts were really, really close to who I was and then really far away. And so it's like the level of objectivity grew the further they were away from me.
Mm.
And is that the unblending process where like you can tell if they're getting more objective or not? Or was that a completely different thing?
You mean the part is getting more objective or
Or
you are?
I was getting more objectivity on them, but there was a part that was really, really close to me, so it was harder to be clear with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of sounds like you just needed a little bit of space in order to feel a little bit more clarity. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So and I feel like in the last episode about parts, you said like we could talk about them all day, but it's not until like we get in there and we do stuff that it starts to make sense. So do you think it's time to do the exercise or to do the demonstration?
Do you
What do you
think it's
think?
time?
Do you think it's time?
Let's start with this little exercise and then we'll see if that morphs into anything else that we want to work with. But I just did this with my consult group this morning and it was really cool. And because one of my colleagues took this exercise from a training with a trainer, Chris Burris, who's a really, really cool guy who's a lead trainer and does a lot of cool trainings on the side, apart from the Institute. And so highly recommend anything that he does because he's great. So yeah, let's just jump in. If you're ready, yeah?
Hmm.
Okay. So this one has a little bit more to do with the U-turn. So it's a little bit of a U-turn exercise. So I want you to just imagine a relationship. Maybe this could be helpful to do with Marty, the villain. Yeah. So just imagine a relationship um, that maybe you've had a little difficulty with or in lately. So something has felt maybe a little, yeah, just a little difficult, a little prickly. Maybe there's been a little bit of tension, just something that maybe you even want to be different with that person. So once you have that person, I want you to just put yourself and that person in a room. And after you see yourself with that person in the room, just see if you can just take the roof off of that room so that you could just float above it, so that you can get a good view, just seeing the other person and yourself in that room. Now just see yourself with that person having a conversation. And maybe the other person is doing the thing that you find annoying or you're having a hard time with. Whatever they're saying to you can kind of activate or even trigger you. The thing that's been difficult, be a difficult conversation or just the way they show up with you or have shown up with you. And now just notice yourself in that room with them. Just notice what you want to say to them, how you want to respond to them, what you would like to say, maybe what you would like to say to make this different, what you want to be different with. And now just go back to the other person. Just see how they respond to that. See how they respond to you saying what you need to say and how you want things to be different. And just observing yourself now, how you're taking in their response, what that feels like. And just take a second to just wrap that up, whatever needs to happen right now, knowing that you can come back to your part and just thank your system for showing you what it showed you. How'd that go?
Like getting like, I don't, how do you describe it? It's like you're playing Sims. You're like changing where you're looking or what you're paying attention to.
Yeah. How did that feel to look at that, to look at you and the person?
It was great when I was asked to just notice what they were saying in return. I could see more clearly where they stood, like where what they thought
Mm.
or felt. Yeah. It's really similar to timeline work. I don't know if you've done that, but it's like hopping around and moving around. It's really helpful. I think it's so helpful for me because I am such like a feeler, you know? And I think because I'm such a feeler, I can really stay blended, maybe is what's happening, blended to a part that's really feeling.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm not as identifying with like being an emotional person. Not that I don't want to be. I love being an emotional person, but I don't have to be. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Sure.
And if it makes sense to you. Yeah. How did it feel to notice yourself, to notice you with the person talking?
I'm not sure I noticed anything in particular. Yeah.
I guess what did you notice about your responses?
I had more options. And so it's like, I think in quote unquote regular life, I would choose one way. But then
Yeah.
in this moment, it's like, oh, what if I asked it in this way? What if I said it in this way? What if, my bids
Mm.
of affection were presented in this way? And I wasn't necessarily making the choice of what to do, but I was more aware. Does that sit right? I don't know. I think that's what I was doing.
Yeah. So there's more choice, more options. It felt like there were more options available when you had the space to kind of run this simulated experience of what would this feel like? What if I said this, and how would that feel for me and maybe the other person?
Yeah. And this is making me think of like when you're in the shower. I don't know if this is an experience for everyone, but when you're in the shower and you're anticipating a question from someone that you might encounter in your day, and like
Yeah.
you're building your defense. Like, why are you
Mm,
wearing that? You know? Like, well, I'm wearing this because like no one's gonna ask me why I'm wearing this necklace, but I'm building that defense. It didn't feel like that.
mm,
It felt like I was yeah, it felt like I had options instead of like
hmm.
sticking up for myself with someone who's never going to ask me those questions anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels pretty partsy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels very middle school.
And how often that could feel like a autopilot, especially with our partners,
Yeah.
to just revert to just feel it like automatically feeling like you have to be defensive or
Yeah.
there's something that I need to defend. I need to, I'm going to be put on the spot and I'm going to have to explain why I am doing this or why I feel this way. And that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Marty the person? Nice.
It's nice to think that like I'm not in active conflict with someone right now, so I have to choose him because I live with him.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see him
Yeah.
the most. Yeah. How beautiful that that no one else is like causing you any ruffling your feathers.
Yeah. Not this week,
Ooh,
I think. Maybe
love
next
to
week there'll
see.
be someone. I'll go find
Ooh.
someone.
I mean, when I did this exercise, I was like, I don't really have anybody, to be honest. I'm
That's
not
nice.
really, I know, no one's causing me any conflicts. This is nice. This is a nice place to be in. Yeah.
Can you refresh my memory about the U-turn? Like, how would you define that?
Yeah. So I think I think the purpose of something like this is especially for folks who are kind of maybe constantly being activated or triggered by somebody else. And I mean, which is for most of us a lot of the time, right?
Hmm.
And like I said, I think a very important part of interaction with other people is doing a U-turn, as noticing like what parts of me are showing up right now, like what parts of me are speaking or are being, obviously activated by this other person, but what parts of me are responding to it. And regardless of like how other people show up with us, like how do I want to be responsive? Like how do I want to respond? And and what parts are involved with that? So even even doing a map, like we were talking about my consult group, like one of my colleagues has a whiteboard and he'll map things out for clients and be like, oh, all right, when this happens, then this happens. And like when my partner says this, then this part comes out. And then when this part comes out, then this other part comes out. And then this, there's sometimes a chain reaction, right? Or a cycle. So it's cool to just know, like, just be able to reflect on those things and map them out so I can know what's happening when. So that's to me what feels like the U-turn. It's looking back at yourself. How am I showing up in this? What am I doing or not doing? And yeah, kind of taking responsibility for all of that. And and I'm not saying like we have to take responsibility for other people's actions or like everything, is within our own control. Like there's a lot that isn't, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot that isn't in our control. And that sucks. And that's kind of the way things are. Like a lot of things happen and a lot of things happen around us. And it's important that other people take responsibility for their own parts too and their own part in the interaction, right? And we can't really force people to do that either. I can't force my
Yeah.
partner to look at and do a U-turn and look at their own stuff, but I can look at what I'm doing, how I'm showing up, how I feel, taking care of that, and hopefully like having more access to self energy in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have enough time for a demonstration of unblending,
And right.
but
Maybe we'll do
maybe,
that next time.
yeah,
We
maybe.
we'll
And
definitely do more of a demo in a subsequent episode. I think that would be.
yeah,
We haven't done one for a while, so we probably should at some point, like a little bit of like a longer demo and like really working with parts. Yeah, let's do it.
yeah. But before we wrap up, do you want to like maybe if I were after this conversation to like want to practice unblending from a part, if I've noticed that, like what advice would you give me to like be able to do that with more clarity?
Well, I think it's going to look different for a lot of people, and so, like I said, being aware of your parts is going to be helpful because you want to know what's unblending and what you're unblending from. So parts awareness and then the tells, like when do you know, like how do you know when a part's present? So that like, oh, I'm really activated, I'm really blended with this part. Everyone's going to have their own way of knowing what that feels like and looks like for them. So, and then when you know that, it might yeah, it might look different for everybody, like how you can get a little bit more space from that part in the moment. And it might just be like just the awareness that helps, right? And maybe taking a moment to just acknowledge your part and be like, okay, I see you here with me. I know you're feeling scared or I know you're feeling frustrated. I see that and I hear that. And do what you gotta do to like take care of yourself and maybe get a little bit more access to self energy. So however that looks like for you, however in whatever ways you've developed your, paths to access more self, just also going to look so different for everybody. Like that could be going on a walk or talking to a friend or working with a therapist or going to the ocean. So you have to kind of figure that out, play around with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a video of someone, they were saying to give your inner critic a male name. That was
Why?
a comment on a feminist comment, but to
Uh,
give your inner critic a name, period, can be helpful. Be like, okay, I don't know, a
Bert.
random name. Llewellyn, Bert. Okay, Bert, thank you for your input. I'm really grateful, but I don't have to think that way or whatever. Yeah. Sounds
Yeah.
cheesy, but I think it really works.
I mean, yeah, a lot of parts have names or give them and often we'll ask like, does this part have a name or what does it want to be called? How do you want to refer to this part? So we're often checking in about that. So it's really up to the part. And I wouldn't want to ascribe something to a part. Like that would obviously be coming from an agenda or another part, So
Yeah.
you want to like ask your parts what they prefer. Like, what do they want to be
Yeah.
called? What name would you like? If you want a name, some parts are like, I don't need a name. So yeah, asking about that.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, that makes me think of like when you adopt a new cat and you put all these names on little pieces of paper, and in the first one the cat touches is the cat's name. Like,
Really?
just like respecting a creature's ability to name themselves or choose their own name, I think is really
Yeah.
important. Like,
Yeah.
because no one wants to be named by someone else unless I guess they're a baby, but yeah.
But even then, but that you said
Even
that like it
then,
was like such common knowledge that that's what you do with a new cat. I did not know that.
I don't think it's
I've never
common
gotten a
knowledge.
kitty. I don't have a cat. That's cool.
Someday.
I know.
Yeah. You'll have to have a locked cabinet for all of your yarn.
I know. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Not with string. No. They're too smart.
Yeah. And they love yarn too much. Hmm.
Yeah. That's why
I
we have
know.
a dog.
Same. No, I don't. Someday.
Well, this was great. I feel like I have more felt knowledge, and I hope people who are listening understand blending a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe you should do a workshop about blending. That would be fun, like an
But we
experiential
make it
thing.
like a watercolor workshop.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
because that's like blending or like
Yeah.
pastels. That's blending.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oil.
That's
Yeah.
actually an amazing idea.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned until we decide to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, bye everyone.
Love you.
Love ya. Thank you for joining us for Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology podcast. If something sparked insight or resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you.
No, really, we're here to make friends. Reach out to us. Leave a comment, subscribe, and if you feel called, share this episode with someone you care about. Or, if you want to work with us one-on-one and go deeper with this work, check the link in the show notes for how to find us.
Until next time, may all of you feel a part of the family.